Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 4th episode of Wrestling with Connor podcast. And I just wanted to start everything off, as usual, by thanking you for joining me and thanking you for all the support over the past few weeks as I've started this. It is much appreciated. We are going to be doing the review on AEW Revolution. If you heard my prediction episode, this is definitely going to be an episode that you want to hear, and we're going to be going over a little bit after the review as well for a few things, nothing too much. I want to keep this a little bit shorter than the first review episode I did. I believe it was Vengeance Day. So without further ado, let's get right into the episode. Once again, welcome to the Wrestling with Connor podcast. I've got quite the loaded episode for you, but I'm going to try to keep it short, not ramble as much as I did on the first review, which I know I did. Listening to it back, I heard it, and I was just thinking to myself, oh, man, if you watch the match, it's annoying to hear someone just tell you everything that happened in the match already. So, I'm not doing that anymore. The review is for you, but also my opinion on the match. I don't need to tell you what happened in it, especially if you saw it. So, if there is anything that you want to see more detail-wise as far as the match, I would suggest ordering AEW Revolution. I actually really enjoyed this pay-per-view. A lot of you know about the mishaps that happened during this pay-per-view, but beside those, I thought it was actually really good. I had a couple friends over, and we did have a good time watching this pay-per-view. We were very excited. We knew what could happen and what was in store, so we didn't get our hopes up too high, because we know how wrestling is sometimes. You're told something, and then the outcome can end up being vastly different than you had been told or thought, which in this case we all thought that when you, just getting right into it, I guess, when you have an exploding barbed wire death match, you might have to get the right pyro. Buy your pyro, or whatever you do when it comes to pyro. Don't buy it at the dollar store or something. We'll get into that more towards the end of the episode, but to get in to the full review here, I am just going to go right into the buy-in. I also have my prediction notes here, so I will be telling you who I thought was going to win the match and what I thought was going to happen, and I will be telling you who actually did win the match, of course, or else I'd be lying. So, here we go. Alright, so we have Thunder Rosa and Riho versus Baker and Rebel. Brit Baker, Dr. Brit Baker. So, if you watch the buy-in, which is free, by the way, every pre-show that AEW does is free. The first hour is usually from 7 to 8 o'clock, so you can watch that first hour of the pay-per-view, which technically isn't the pay-per-view, but you can watch that first hour for free. Normally they put it on YouTube afterwards, or the BR Live page. I think they might air it live or something like that, but this match is free to watch on YouTube right now. I know that, but right off the bat, when you're watching the pre-show, you see Brit Baker come out and, or not, I don't think she came out. I think it was an interview. Yeah, it was an interview. I forget who was interviewing her. It doesn't matter, but she said that Rebel is injured and she can't wrestle in the match. And she had like a written note with her signature on it, since she's a doctor, which I thought was kind of funny. But apparently Tony Khan, she was going to go ask Tony Khan to find a replacement. And Tony Khan said that she had to make sure that it was okay with the real trainer. She did that. So, we have a new teammate for Brit Baker. So, first we've got Thunder Rosa and Riho come out. And then Brit Baker, who announces her new teammate. And it is Maki Ito. I had no idea who this was. This is no disrespect. I heard the singing and stuff, and I was like, what is going on? I had no idea that Maki Ito has such a following right now. I watched a little bit of a documentary on her. It's just a short documentary on YouTube about how she was a idol in Japan, which is like... it's what a lot of females do in Japan from ages like apparently 15 all the way up to adult. They are a part of this group where they do choreographed dances and singing, and it's kind of crazy. It's wild because they've got like 20 or 30, maybe 40 girls in these groups, and it's hard to really stand out as far as trying to be a star. So apparently she decided to get into wrestling, and she uses her idol background to really push that. She is, I will say right off the bat, this match was slower. It wasn't a bad match, but you could definitely tell Thunder Rosa wasn't going super hard like she normally does, or like the way Thunder Rosa wrestles is vastly different than the way Maki Ito wrestles. Maki Ito is very small. She's Riho's size. I wouldn't say she's as thin as Riho is. She's very skinny, but she is a very good wrestler. You could tell Riho there's a few back and forth fights with Maki Ito and Riho where you could tell Riho was definitely guiding the fight. But, like I said, it was a slower match. Maki Ito is definitely not as experienced as the other three in the ring, being Brit Baker, Riho, and Thunder Rosa. But I believe that it was a pre-show match. It was alright. It's pretty much a throwaway match. Just to, I think, bring Maki Ito in. Which I hope is to build the women's division, because as I've said before, the women's division kind of flounders around once in a while, and throughout this pay-per-view, you can tell that they are trying to fix, you could say, the women's division. Not that there's anything bad or really wrong with it, I just think it doesn't get the spotlight it deserves, because there's a lot of good wrestlers in that division, and you maybe get one match as far as female competition on TV. So, like I said, slow match, kind of a throwaway pre-show. That's basically it. So, first match of the main card threw me off. I had this match as either the co-main event or the match before the co-main event. I thought this was going to come on at the end of the show, and that is MJF and Chris Jericho versus the Young Bucks for the tag titles. Just kind of thrown off by the order that they started off this pay-per-view, but as you get through it, you understand why they did it, and I'll explain that as well later. But the Young Bucks and MJF and Chris Jericho, they have been building this for the past couple weeks with MJF and Chris Jericho. As I said on the last episode, they bloodied up the Young Bucks' dad and really set him off, and you can tell that was the fire that led the Young Bucks to this match, and they come out, and you can tell that they are poised, and they are determined to beat the hell out of MJF and Chris Jericho. You can really tell just by the way they look that they are trying to not get rid of, because it's always going to be a part of their gimmick, but right now they got to be serious. They can't be the elite on YouTube. They've got to be like, let's get this shit done right now type of tag team. And I think they did. It was a good match. There was a lot of pinfalls. There was back-to-back pinfalls at some points. The Bucks built the Meltzer driver, which, to explain what it is, it's just they get an opponent in a tombstone pile driver position, and normally I believe Matt Jackson goes to the outside and does a springboard off the ropes, front flip, and aids the other young buck in the pile driver. They call that the Meltzer driver, but they built that a few times in the match where they're about to hit it, and then Chris Jericho or MJF comes in and breaks it up. I liked them doing that. They didn't just hit it 2 times or 3 times in the match. They saved it and also built it. I mean, they didn't save it. They had to build it up. They kept getting cut off, and I think that was a really good way to build the finish. And like I said, I didn't think this would be the opener, so the whole match kind of threw me off while I was watching it. It was a longer match, not like 30 minutes or anything like that, but I think it was about 15 minutes, and the Bucks ended up getting the win. It was a good match. I think it was good for the first match on the card. After the Bucks win, they looked down at Chris Jericho and MJF and said, "This is what you get for messing with our dad, for beating up our dad." I like that. I like that they're keeping the fire going here. Hopefully, this leads to the Good Brothers. I hope with MJF and Chris Jericho losing, because there's an interview after this match with MJF and Chris Jericho where they are having a meeting on Wednesday. What did they call it? A War Council meeting, I believe. They are having a War Council meeting on Wednesday, and the way MJF looked at Chris Jericho after the match that they lost, to paraphrase here, I think he said, "Yeah, Chris, we are going to have a meeting, and we do need to make some changes here. We'll see what happens Wednesday." And it was very obvious that they are foreshadowing towards either MJF leading, that's what I meant to say, leading the Inner Circle or leaving the Inner Circle, meaning Jericho leaves. I could see Jericho getting kicked out of the Inner Circle here. That's just my opinion. I've been seeing this for a while. I've been saying it for a couple months, maybe even longer, that I want to see MJF take control of the Inner Circle and Jericho turn babyface on the Inner Circle. I just think that'll be great. That would be a great angle. And it will also aid to Sammy Guevara's return. Sammy Guevara coming back to help Chris Jericho, and they reformed the Les Sex Gods. So I think that all works. Wednesday should be a very good episode of Dynamite. There's a lot of stuff they need to make up for, so I hope it's a good episode of Dynamite. But it is what it is. You know how it goes. The Bucks end up winning, like I said, in fiery fashion. And that, I believe, is who I thought would win. Yes. I said, in reality, the Bucks win this match. I don't see a real reason why Jericho and MJF actually take the titles here, other than if Santana and Ortiz won the Casino Tag Team Royale, which is what I'll be going over here next. But yeah, the Bucks retain, which is what I thought. Easy match to move along the card here, and also an easy match to move along the Bucks angle with the Good Brothers. Keep the titles. I expect them to do a title versus title thing with the Impact Tag Championships, and the AEW Tag Championships. So that should be interesting. Next, we have, like I said, the Casino Tag Team Battle Royale. This was already crazy when I talked about it on the prediction episode, and it got crazier. I think there were 3 extra teams added to this. One of them being the Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. Did not know they were going to be in the match. I think Peter Avalon and his partner, I do not remember his partner's name because he is somewhat new, but they were added to the match, and maybe 1 or 2 more teams were added that I had no idea. No, I can't remember. Maybe, but there was already 22 people in this match, and there probably ended up being close to 30, and surprisingly, this was a really good match. With the both teammates having to go over the top rope to be eliminated rule, that made it very good, and they used that to their advantage. Right off the bat, QT Marshall, they're face to face with who are they face to face with? Is it Stu Grayson and 10 maybe? Or oh no, it's 10 and 5 from the Dark Order. They're face to face with 10 and 5 from the Dark Order, and you see Dustin go out to shake his hand, and QT just goes off and starts beating him up. And Dustin kind of looks at him like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And that leads into another thing that happened, where QT Marshall eliminates the Gun Club, which I didn't know this, but the Gun Club's a part of the Unnatural Nightmares, or the Nightmare family. I was not aware of this, but Dustin Rhodes yells at QT, and QT eliminates himself and then spits at Dustin. Obviously going to be creating something here with QT versus Dustin, or just QT versus the Nightmare family. I think that's cool. QT Marshall doesn't get a lot of time on TV. He's a trainer, and apparently a very, very good trainer. He's been wrestling for over 20 years and helps a lot of guys in AEW, and I think he deserves a bit of a push here, which I could see them doing. It's just very cool. I like it. To fast forward a little bit in the match, we had a point where Phoenix did a through the ropes flip and landed straight on the railing on his butt bone. Like, he had to have been in so much pain, and he just got right up and went back in the ring. It was quite the spot. He landed directly on his ass on that rail, and it looked so uncomfortable. But like I said, he got right up and went back in the ring, and good thing for him, because he ended up being he ended up being the winner. Him and Pac being the tag team in this match, they ended up winning. They were in the ring with Jungle Boy, which turned out to be an amazing sequence. Jungle Boy and Pac had one point where it looked like they botched a couple times, but it was actually just so close that it looked super real, if that makes sense. I think Pac ducked or he took like a sidestep from Jungle Boy, and it almost looked like a botch, but it was not at all. It was just a clean, like, fucking Matrix move or something like that. But it looked awesome. They did a good little sequence. Jungle Boy eliminates Pac. It is Phoenix versus Jungle Boy. Phoenix eliminates Jungle Boy, and they are the new number 1 contenders for the AEW titles. I like that. I expected them to win. That was my pick. am very happy that Death Triangle, which is Penta, Phoenix, and Pac, are getting a bit of a push here. It's a fun match. Like I said, it could have gone very wrong with how many people they have in it, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. Jungle Boy almost getting there. He could have created a 2021 moment right there. And I think that's another foreshadow moment for Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is probably going to get a push here soon. Not that he doesn't need one already, but I think he'll be getting something here soon. We've got Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami. I hope I'm saying that right, because there's Riho and then there's Ryo without the H. So, I'm probably just going to say Mizunami. This was also a good match. This was back and forth. Stiff, just good wrestling match. I had a good time watching this. Shida had to lay in to Mizunami in order to beat her in this match. She hit her with knees. She hit her with elbows. She hit her with everything. Multiple knees. And finally got the win over Mizunami. Before this match, they had a bit of like a... It's almost like, if you can take my shot and I can take yours, we're going to fight. So one of them takes an elbow to the neck, and then they give an elbow back. And then they look at each other like, let's do this. It's the Japanese way of saying, I want to fight you, basically. But, like I said, that right there can tell you this is going to be a good match. And it was. Back and forth, pinfalls. Just one of those good wrestling matches. After Shida gets the win, we have Nyla Rose come out and attack. She attacks both Shida and Mizunami with help. Well, not really help, but Vicky Guerrero is her manager at the moment. And when it seems like Nyla Rose is about to get beat up by both of them, Shida and Mizunami, we have Brit Baker and Rebel come out with Maki Ito. So we can see something, a pattern here with Brit Baker. She seems to bring people in and then recruit them. So she now has Rebel, and it seems like Maki Ito is also in with Brit Baker. So we've got Nyla Rose, Brit Baker, and Maki Ito just laying in on Shida and Mizunami. And then you hear Thunder Rosa's theme hit, and everyone clears the ring, which I thought was hilarious for one reason. You've got Nyla Rose, the Beast Nyla Rose, Brit Baker, Rebel with a crutch, who, by the way, she was the reason why Brit Baker and Maki Ito won. She used the crutch against Rosa. I forgot to mention that. And Maki Ito. So we've got 4 people against 2, and then Thunder Rosa comes out, and those 2 people are on the ground, hurt, and then the ring clears, because Thunder Rosa is going to beat up all 4 of them. I thought that was funny. Thunder Rosa is awesome, but I don't see her going 1-on-4 and winning that fight. So I just was amused by that. After that match, we have the Best Friends versus Miro and Kip, and Kip Sabian. This has to do with the wedding, Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford's wedding. Miro being the best man, and Chuck Taylor of the Best Friends being Miro's butler, or whatever you want to call it. Orange Cassidy ruined the wedding, and then that led to this match at Revolution. Right off the bat, we've got a backstage interview with best friends, Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. Miro comes in and destroys Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy's laid out. He's like knocked out cold or something. And then he throws Chuck Taylor's head through a window. And when this happened, I saw him bust the window with his arm. I'm pretty sure that's how he broke the window, was with his arm. And then you see him come out, being dragged out by Miro, because Miro does that and he yells, "Hit my music." And then his music hits and he comes down dragging Chuck Taylor through the entranceway, and he's got blood all over his arm, like on his forearm, and it is coming out. And he's also bleeding from like the side of his eyebrow, but not too bad. But the blood on his forearm was coming out. And I was like, man, the match hasn't even started yet, and Chuck Taylor is bloodied up. So it's a 2-on-1. The first half of this match, if not more, was a 2-on-1. Kip Sabian and Miro versus Chuck Taylor. And that's about it for the first half until Orange Cassidy comes out. He hits an orange punch, which is just a Superman punch on Miro. Sends him out for a little bit. Orange Cassidy gets a little bit of work in with Kip Sabian. And then gets help from Chuck Taylor. Miro comes in. Blah, blah, blah. You know the rest. Miro gets a couple Orange Cassidy punches. And he kind of just like does a Hulk up thing. This is what Miro should be doing. He shouldn't be laying down really for anybody. There's no good reason why Miro should lose here. Other than just creatively, they want to push the best friends with Miro and Kip Sabian still. So, Miro kind of hulked up, went after Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, took him out, got the win. This was also a good match. I liked how they attacked best friends right at the beginning. I like how Orange Cassidy came out. He's super hurt. He's like literally crawling out and hits the punch on Miro. That was good. I think the match could have ended closer to when Orange Cassidy came out to keep it hot a little bit, because I felt like it kind of lost its heat the more Orange Cassidy kind of came back and then got taken down a few times. But yeah, the only real complaint about this match is it could have been a little bit shorter after Orange Cassidy came out to keep the heat, because I just felt like it didn't need all the extra after that. So, next, we've got Adam Page versus Matt Hardy in the money match. Whoever wins this match gets the first quarter earnings of the loser. So this was a pretty interesting stipulation we've got here. The stipulation definitely makes the match, because they don't really need to wrestle to make this the match. The finish is what matters here. They always say that in wrestling. The finish is what they're going to remember. So this is one of those matches. They didn't need to do too much wrestling. It was just one of those middle of the road, middle of the card matches where the obvious winner is going to be Page. We had Private Party interject themselves in here and kind of distract Page just for Dark Order to come out, who has been the helping hand and trying to recruit Adam Page for several months now. They came out, they helped Adam Page. He hit the buckshot lariat and won against Matt Hardy, meaning Matt Hardy has to give up his first quarter earnings to Adam Page. This is just kind of a feel-good moment. I feel like Adam Page might eventually join the Dark Order. I could see Adam Page leading the Dark Order. With Brody Lee being gone, rest in peace, Brody Lee, they don't have a leader Whether they want a leader or not is up to them, obviously, because of the circumstances involved. It might be one of those situations where the whole group as one is the leader rather than replacing Brody Lee, which is ultimately what it would be, is replacing. So, and you never want to do that. You could never replace Brody Lee. So, I think Adam Page can definitely lead, but if they don't go that direction, I could see him just being a part of the Dark Order. And next, this was the match that I was really looking forward to because I knew there would be a debut here. I did not believe the debut that Paul White was referring to would be in this match, because I just felt like the superstar that Paul White was going to sign under contract, or did sign under contract, would be someone older, not so much in a title picture, but more just there to kind of finish their career. Maybe not finish their career, but say they have unfinished business. And that's Christian. I'll just get into that real quick. Christian made his debut after this match that I'm about to go over. Christian was one of the many potential signees that people were rumoring or spreading rumors about on social media. You had the top two, for some reason, was Brock Lesnar and CM Punk, because people really thought they were going to show up at AEW for some reason, which is wild. But if you can be a dreamer, but you can't be a Tommy Dreamer. Sorry. But we have Christian. Like I said, it's not going to be Brock. It's not going to be CM Punk. People thought it might be Rob Van Dam. Some people thought maybe it could be somebody from NWA, as in a Nick Aldis type. Or I heard someone talk about Homicide. That would have been an awesome, awesome pick. Yeah. We have our debut in the ladder match. Ethan All Ego Page, or All Ego Ethan Page. I was so happy about this. Ethan Page just finished with Impact. He did the Karate Man versus Ethan Page, which was, it was something. Apparently he was not very happy about it either, but it's just one of those things that Impact does once in a while, where you think, man, this could have been really good, but it was really bad. And it was. So I'm glad to see Ethan Page moving away from that and coming into a more serious character here. He looked like he was super happy coming out. He came out of the heel side, but he was cheered like he was a babyface. It was awesome. Right at the beginning of the match, you had a lot of ladder action, a lot of people throwing ladders at each other, tossing people on ladders. There's a lot of ladder spots. Scorpio Sky smashed Lance Archer with the ladder. He put him between it and he jumped on it. Or I think he was slammed on it by Ethan Page, actually. But this was a good match. Everybody likes ladder matches. Ladder spots galore. Early on, Cody gets hurt pretty bad. And it looks like he's going to be leaving the match. He stands at the entranceway for a good 5 minutes and then decides he's going to come back out and takes everyone's finisher. As soon as that happened, I knew Cody wasn't winning this match. I didn't think Cody was winning the match in the first place. But my picks were definitely Penta and Ethan Page, or the to-be-announced wrestler, and I was sorely wrong. Scorpio Sky came out on top here. Rightfully so. Scorpio Sky is awesome. If you don't like Scorpio Sky, I don't know where your head's at. This guy has been working his ass off ever since AEW started, with SCU, Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian, and he definitely deserves a title shot. I am very excited to see Darby Allen versus Scorpio Sky on Wednesday, tomorrow night, on Dynamite. And this was a great match, just a good ladder match. There's a lot of one-on-one in the middle of the ring after a while. There wasn't too much going on the outside because Cody left, leaving the match odd-numbered, so you couldn't really do too much one-on-one outside and inside. So, other than that, we got a good ladder match. Scorpio Sky winning was a pretty good finish. I'm not going to complain about that. And like I said, looking forward to the Darby Allen Scorpio Sky TNT title match. One thing to note really fast. It is cold, and you know it is cold when you're watching this because everybody's got coats on, like usual, because they're outside at Daly's place. And at one point, pyro hits, and JR goes, "Oh, that felt good. That pyro is warming me up." And then they start talking about how cold it is. It's just like, why are you doing this shit outside? Nonetheless, the next match was by far my favorite match. We had Sting and Darby Allen versus Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. This is the best cinematic match I have ever watched in my life. The setting, the intro to it with Sting driving the truck and Darby skating and then skitching on the truck to the warehouse, that was top notch. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks walking into the warehouse, also. Just the production quality of this match was outstanding. I cannot say that enough. Cage looked like a monster. He beat the living hell out of Darby Allen, and Sting got his licks as well. Sting looked amazing in this match. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, or what they should do, and keep Sting's weaknesses hidden. Make sure he does not have to have a 30-minute match in a ring. He can't do it, and that's no knock to Sting. It's a knock to the man's age. We don't want to see Sting get hurt, and this is exactly how we get a match out of Sting that is good, and he doesn't get hurt. He is preserved. Preserve Sting forever. I cannot tell you how much I like this match without just literally sounding like a fanboy. The full array of the warehouse that they used, the cuts, they had Will Hobbs come in, they had Hook come in, which is Taz's son, and the finish with Darby Allen jumping off the I don't even know what it would be. It's just like an elevator platform, jumping off that into Brian Cage through the entire building to the first floor, and then Sting finally beating Starks in the ring with a Stinger splash, and then a Scorpion death drop. Amazing match. Just an absolutely amazing match. I was super happy with this. I want to see more of this out of AEW. And there's not much more to say about that match. I think everybody should go watch that. That is recommended. I think this should have been the main event. And I said it during the match. It's main event quality, main event, everything. Finally, we have the main event. The actual main event. This was something. And before I get into it, let me go ahead and tell you about something. Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a quick second to shout out Anchor. Without Anchor, I would not be making this podcast. It is free. and I'm making this straight from my phone. It's super easy. You can edit it. You can split sound. Say you want to split up one segment into two, you can go ahead and do that. You can add sound to one and the other doesn't need it. Whatever you want, basically. You can send it to Apple, Spotify, Google, and many, many other platforms. You can make money off of it without any minimum listenership. You can go just right in and start your own podcast. It's super easy. It's free, and basically everything that you need in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Let's get back to the podcast. All right. So this is what we were all waiting for. What has been built up for the past 2 weeks. Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, the AEW champion, in an exploding barbed wire death match. We got a good match. And I'm saying good match. We got what an exploding barbed wire death match gives us. We got blood. We got torn clothing. We got barbed wire. We got exploding. I don't want to call it exploding. We got mortars on the side of the ring blowing up whenever you fall into the plywood with barbed wire on it. But we did not get the finish that we get when we see a true exploding barbed wire death match. This has no way to do with the actual wrestling match that took place between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. This has to do with what I'm about to say, has to do with the finish. If you're going to have an exploding barbed wire death match, think about those words. Exploding barbed wire death match. First off, maybe you should go back and watch Terry Funk versus Atsushi Onita in the exploding barbed wire death match in Japan. That, first of all, is what an exploding, I'm going to call it a EBD. That is what an EBD should look like. Especially at the end. And the fact that they tried to recreate the end to a point of that match, in my opinion, is slightly disrespectful towards the man who had the most to do with creating that match, who is Atsushi Onita, who has been in the most of these matches, by the way, who also gave you the nod showing up on your show and promoting this match. The end of this match looked like 4 fountain fireworks on 4th of July going off, and then just some $5 mortars that you bought at your local grocery store. I could not believe what I saw. We had this amazing, hardcore, bloody match between these two outstanding wrestlers just for Eddie Kingston to come out. And thank God Eddie Kingston exists, because this man came out, he jumped on Jon Moxley, trying to get him out of the ring before the countdown happened, or before the countdown stopped and the ring exploded, and he jumped on top of him, just like Atsushi Onita did to Terry Funk when Terry Funk lost. Terry Funk lost that match. Atsushi Onita left the ring. The countdown started. Terry Funk didn't leave, so Atsushi Onita jumped back in, tried to get him out, and instead covered him up with his own body. And that is what Eddie Kingston did, except he wasn't actually in the match. He's just Jon Moxley's friend. He comes out, puts his body over Jon Moxley, and these pissy, just terrible fucking fireworks get set off. And I genuinely expect Eddie Kingston to pop his head up and go, "What the hell was that? That was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life or seen in my life." But instead, which I'm assuming he was told to do this, he lays completely lifeless over Jon Moxley's body. And this man looks like he legitimately died. I take my hat off to Eddie Kingston here. Eddie Kingston stayed true to what was going on. And even though whatever mishap happened with the pyro, or whatever did happen, if it was supposed to look like that, I sure hope not. But he stuck to the plan. They told him, go over to John, lay on top of him, and when that explosion happens, you've got to lay lifeless. It's got to be like you just had a heart attack on his body and you died. And he did that. And I give a round of applause to Eddie Kingston on that, because I don't know if I would have been able to stick to the plan there, because that was, man, all of us that were in the room and we saw that, we all looked at each other at the same time thinking, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? Okay, so besides that, we did actually have a good match. Moxley versus Omega had a lot of good spots with the barbed wire. There's a point where Moxley hit a paradigm shift on Omega to the outside onto the floor. That was great. But yeah, like I said earlier, they only remember the finish, and the finish was botched. After AEW went off air, Moxley stood up in the ring, grabbed a microphone, and I saw a quote that he said, "I've seen more dangerous shit on ridiculousness. What the fuck was that?" So he called out the finish. Later on after that, Tony Khan gets an interview, and he calls out the finish, says that Don Callis and Kenny Omega can't make a ring for shit, and that this was a big letdown. And then Omega comes out and says that he was furious with the finish, and that it wasn't supposed to look like that. So, it seems like they're all trying to cover their asses here. And I'm really hoping on Wednesday we get something good, because that match was the biggest reason why I bought that pay-per-view. And not that I'm upset that I bought it, because this was a good pay-per-view altogether. I'd rate this like a 7 out of 10. It's a good pay-per-view. But to end your show with, not only is this the part of the show everyone's been waiting for. Everyone wants to see your ring explode and someone to blow up in it. Wrestling fans are bloodthirsty. We got the blood. Now we want to see somebody die. Not for real, but and then you botch that. The whole point of the show, the whole point of that match is the finish. And if you don't get the finish right, it's screwed. And it kind of got screwed. So, the match was good, but the finish sucked. Hats off to Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, because I don't know of a lot of wrestlers, because I know damn sure I couldn't do it, because I'm not a wrestler, and I don't know of a lot of wrestlers that would have done that in the first place. So, hats off to them, but I think Tony Khan and AEW need to work on that type of stuff. They need to work on those finishes, because that seemed very WWE, if that makes any sense. So, I apologize if I did end up rambling a bit. I wanted to get this review a little bit more quicker than the last one. This is a good pay-per-view. I liked it. I think it's going to be forever overshadowed by the deathmatch ending, and this is probably going to be made fun of for years to come, unless they make it right on Wednesday. They have got to do something good on Wednesday. They got to bring Christian out. He's got to talk. They've got to have a great match with Scorpio Sky versus Darby Allen. they've just really got to make up for it. And I don't think them booking another exploding barbed wire death match is a good thing, but we definitely need to get something to make up for that. So that's the review of the pay-per-view. I've got a few things that I want to go over here in just a second. So let me cut this real quick, and then I will get into that right away. Alrighty, everyone. You've made it to the end of the rant. Really just the one part of that rant was the barbed wire match. But you've made it to the end of the episode where I have something extremely important to announce. I already announced it today on my Twitter and on Instagram, on Facebook. I announced it everywhere. I am going to be releasing merch. I am going to come out with t-shirts at first. Believe I'll be doing mediums, larges, and extra larges. If you want a double XL or a small, let me know. And also hoodies and crew necks. Or not crew necks, I'm sorry, long sleeve shirts. If you want a I said it again. If you want a long sleeve shirt or a hoodie, message me. I don't want to order a bunch of those because they're a little expensive, so I would rather do personal orders right now, and then for the next run, I can just go ahead and order hoodies and long sleeves for everybody. But I'm going to start with t-shirts. Yeah. If you want a WWC t-shirt, long sleeve, or hoodie, please message me. DM me on Twitter. Message me on Instagram at Monarchathias, MONNORCHATHIAS, or message me on Twitter at We Are the WWC, at name We Are the WWC. That is the official Twitter page for this podcast. Brand new, by the way, so we are making moves. I am ready to ship out some merch, get people wearing the brand, and get this going. It's going to be really fun. I'm glad that you guys are listening, and I'm glad that you guys are liking the show. So, until next time, I am Connor, and this is the Wrestling with Connor podcast.